multi-crore housing scam in Mumbai. A shocking story of politicians turning into land sharks. Netas grabbing flats meant for the Aam Aadmi. Corrupt netas selling Aam Aadmi flats for huge profits. Headlines today exposes the political bigwigs in the rogues gallery. All political bigwigs, shameless, filthy rich, yet trying every trick in the book to fatten their pockets by robbing the common man. The list even includes union ministers. Headlines today will now show you how politicians have quietly and shamefully managed to bag 85% of the flats reserved for the Aam Aadmi. On Ground Zero this evening, we expose how a Maharashtra state government housing scheme is being used as a milch cow by our netas. And since the scam cuts across party lines, there are no ideological differences here. This is corruption in its purest, most basic form. Dereliction at its most dirty. And all this in India's maximum city, already cramped and paralyzed for space, and where the poor bleed even for a roof over their heads. Good evening, you're on Ground Zero. I'm Shiv Arur, and the story that we're going to be bringing you right now is going to astonish you, not just because it's something that will eat right into what everyone has suspected about the land mafia in Mumbai, but this is something real, and it involves the very highest people both in the state government as well as the central government in Delhi. We're going to discuss this threadbare. We have our reporter, Headlines Today's Kamlesh Sutar, who went out and did this intrepid investigation in India's maximum city. We'll be speaking to him and find out just what the dirt really is on our netas, both in the centre and in Mumbai. We'll also get a perspective on how the government is going to deal with this very, very disturbing story. Stay tuned. We're going to give that to you in the next couple of minutes. You're on Ground Zero. Today, we're breaking possibly one of Mumbai's most shamefully guarded secrets. Netas stealing flats reserved for the Aam Aadmi. Maybe you thought that this happens. Here, we're going to prove it to you. This is literally maximum profit for maximum politicians in India's maximum city. It's the great Mumbai property scam, and that is no exaggeration, as you will see in a minute. Chief Minister after Chief Minister has misused the discretionary quota, allowing him to allot flats to the needy in Mumbai, instead handing them over out on a silver platter to politicians far from anything even resembling economic difficulty. But the big names are all tumbling out of the bag now. In a moment, you'll have before you details of those involved in this shameful scam. Union ministers, state ministers, party leaders, and how poor and needy and helpless these netas actually position themselves to be. But first, Headlines Today's Kamlesh Sutar with the breaking story that takes you through this monumental and time-tested act of fraud.
Mumbai, a city cramped for space. In this city, your dream house is just a dream. With property rates touching the sky, buying a decent flat is beyond the reach of the Aam Mumbaiker. Headlines Today exposes the great Mumbai property scam. We tell you how our netas are actually stealing our flats. Not only do netas snatch away houses from the needy, they also make enormous profits by selling them. The means of this great robbery, a scheme meant for the Aam Aadmi, the Chief Minister's 5% discretionary quota. The state government had come up with this scheme to provide affordable housing for people who were in dire need of a house. But it was not long before the scheme caught the eyes of our politicians, who are as they declare, poorer than the common man and more in need of a house to live in. Data shows that over the last 16 years, nearly 85% of the apartments have been given to ministers, MLAs, MPs, their relatives and friends. Of the total 3,993 recipients, 2,994 are from the Congress, the Shiv Sena, the BJP and the MNS.
Behind me is the Kingston building in Hiranandani Gardens, Powai, where maximum number of flats are allotted under the 5% CM quota. Now the flats were sold at a government rate of 150 to 200 rupees, and these flats were resold by the beneficiaries at the prevailing market rate, which was anywhere close to 10,000 rupees. Now you can imagine the enormous amount of profit that was made by these politicians through a scheme that was only meant for the Aam Aadmi.
And here are the list of greedy netas. Prithviraj Sawan, Union Minister. Address, Bhakti Park, Wadala. Allotment made on 30th May 2003. Status not sold. Ramdas Kadam, former opposition leader. Address, Vishal Apartments. Allotment made on 3rd August 1993. Sold on 7th February 2005. The idea was to facilitate mass housing for the common man. The Chief Minister's discretionary quota scheme was initiated in 1976. The Chief Minister's 5% discretionary quota allowed citizens from the economically weaker sections to apply for flats.
There are several categories under which one can apply for the CM's 5% discretionary quota. Categories like journalist, artist, sportsperson. And without belonging to any of these categories, politicians still have managed to usurp 85% of the total houses allotted in the last 16 years.
But the scheme was usurped by netas who applied for such flats citing reasons of public relations.
जो फ्लैट गरीबों को देने चाहिए, जैसे कलाकार हो, पत्रकार हो, अन्य खिलाड़ी हो, उनके फ्लैट इन नेताओं ने हड़प लिए हैं और पूरा उन्होंने इसका प्रॉफिट कमाते हुए उसको मार्केट रेट में 10 गुना रेट से बेच डाले.
The question is, after allotment, what they do, whether they use it for the purpose for which it is allotted or not, that is wrong.
Since the beneficiaries are from all parties, no voices of protests are to be heard. It's all in the family after all. With Kamlesh Sutar, Shujoy, Headlines Today.
And that line was in bottom line. The fact that the people involved are from all parties, that's the clincher about why this scam has been kept secret for so long. Well, Headlines Today, it didn't pass Headlines Today's reporter Kamlesh Sutar by. Let's show you now what Maharashtra Chief Minister Ashok Chavan has to say. He's been Chief Minister for 20 months now, and he's had his own part to play in the abuse of this discretionary allotment power. Headlines Today has broken the story. Now listen to what the Chief Minister's ridiculous submission is.
These are the profit-making netas who have grabbed the Aam Aadmi's share. Those who've snatched away houses from those in dire need. These are the faces behind the great Mumbai property scam. Headlines Today has exposed their misdeeds, and when we confronted them for answers, they ducked for cover or simply ran away.
मी नंतर बोलतो. तू बोलो ना. जरा माहिती घेऊ. सांगतो मी. अजून तर आपण किती घेतलं सांगतो. मी 1900 मला वाटतं 95 चं काहीतरी घेतलं. 96 में नाम दो सर. आपका भी नाम दो इसमें. हाँ.
When asked about the scheme, Shiv Sena leader Subhash Desai's response was that of a seasoned politician. He spoke about how it was for the benefit of the poor.
ये जो फ्लैट देने की योजना है, स्वेच्छा योजना, ये योजना लोगों के कल्याण के लिए, जो जिसको ज़रूरत है, ज़रूरतमंद लोगों की भलाई के लिए ये योजना लागू करनी चाहिए। सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस को या अपने पक्ष के लोगों को, अपने नज़दीक के जो लोग हैं उनके लिए ये मकानों का आवंटन करना, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करना सरासर गलत है।
But when headlines today reminded him that it was him and not the Aam Aadmi who had profited, he took a classic U-turn. Listen to this.
ये कभी की बात है, बहुत पुरानी बात है।
इसको बाद में बेच देना कितना सही, क्योंकि चीज आखिर जरूरतमंद लोगों को भी बाद में बेच देना कितना सही मानते हैं?
नहीं, मकान के लिए अगर कोई मकान लेता है तो गलत नहीं है। एक मकान के बजाय उतना ही कोई बड़ा नहीं, उतने ही साइज का मकान अगर उसने किसी ने लिया होगा तो वो गलत नहीं।
Netas use a well-thought-out strategy to grab property. A strategy that carefully makes use of the loopholes in the Chief Minister's 5% scheme.
They first show that the flat is given on rent. There is no law which forbids them from giving these flats on rent. And after 5 years, they show a transaction of sale. So actually, it is sold from day one, and cash is collected. But on record, they show that it is given on rent, and so the lawmakers are themselves circumventing the law and abusing the law.
Even the state government admits that for now, it can't do much about the abuse of the scheme.
There have been some complaints coming about the sale of flats. Of course, some have been sold within this after the stipulated period is over. But as you rightly say, we'll have to look into and form some sort of a new policy wherein any sort of misuse does not happen, and this requires a revision of policy. I'll examine those issues.
An excuse that has failed to cut eyes with the opposition.
देखो, इसका ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा उपयोग तो सरकार ने अपने बगल बच्चों को देने के लिए ही किया है। ये 5% कोटा उनका डिस्क्रिशनरी कोटा था, इसलिए वो सवाल तो हम नहीं उठा सकते थे कि भाई इसको क्यों दिया, उसको क्यों दिया।
The common man is hardly aware of any such schemes that are designed for his benefit, and that's not the only loophole that politicians rely upon to pocket such schemes. Knowing well that this is a discretionary quota, there is hardly any legal action that can be taken against them. With camera person Vaibhav Kangudkar, Kamlesh Sutar in Mumbai for Headlines Today.
Let's go straight across to Mumbai, where Kamlesh Sutar joins us live right now. He's the one who went out and broke this story that we're bringing to you here on Ground Zero. Kamlesh, over the last 16 years, if 85% of the flats that are allotted under this discretionary power have been given to either politicians or people known to politicians or the families of politicians, then it's safe to assume that there must be hundreds of people with genuine economic difficulties who had applied for these flats who got summarily rejected.
Well, Chief, definitely the ULC scheme basically was designed to give affordable housing to the poor, but the builders, in fact, under the ULC were supposed to build affordable housing, 1 BHK flats which can be sold to the needy and poor. But that wasn't followed, and on the contrary, the flats which were surrendered to the government were only given by the Chief Minister to people who are close to him, people whom he wants to please. There are categories under which to whom these flats can be allotted. These flats can be allotted to sportspersons, artists, journalists and different categories, people who do something for the society. But rather than doing that, this has been used as a political tool to please people whom they want to. And since it's a discretionary quota, there's hardly anything that can be challenged about. The discretion word itself is so vague. The concept, the legal terminology discretion, it's so vague that anything can be done about. There are 7,000 people on the list who are still waiting for the turn to come. People queue outside Mantralaya with applications that they need a house. They cannot afford a house in Mumbai, and it's been happening for years. People queue outside Mantralaya. There are touts who are roaming inside Mantralaya who can get you a flat, but only politicians having the privilege to go and meet the CM, to get their work done, get their task done, are the only privileged lots who have only got these flats.
And that's why this is such a monumental impropriety, a monumental fraud that we're bringing out here. I want to get into perspective from our Mumbai Bureau Chief, Sahil Joshi, who also joins us. Sahil has covered Mumbai politics for many, many years. He's been a journalist under various chief ministers as well and covered Mumbai vastly. Sahil, one of the really scary things about this story is that it's been secret for so long. And one of the reasons for that is simply because the people who've all got allotted these houses, they're not from one party. They're from the MNS, they're from the Shiv Sena, they're from the BJP, they're from the Congress. It seems this is a scam that cuts completely across all party lines. Everyone had a slice of this pie.
Absolutely, Shiv. The way what Kamlesh was saying is absolutely true. The main loophole of this particular scheme is that the scheme was made for the people who are economically poor, the people who are either artists, journalists, or the people who are in that kind of a sector should be getting such kind of flats. But what happens is that the person who can reach to Chief Minister, because it's completely Chief Minister's discretion to allot these flats, because these flats were surrendered to the government by the builders who were supposed to build the affordable housing under the ULC, that is Urban Land Ceiling Act, but that was not obeyed. The government did not see to it that the builders build any kind of affordable housing. So when they did not do that, they submitted some flats to the government. Then the government, basically the Chief Minister, allotted those flats to the people who can reach to them, make an excuse saying that they cannot afford a house in Mumbai. And as everyone knows that how the prices of Mumbai land is. So because of that, it was really unaffordable for many of the people. Thousands of people queue up outside Mantralaya, but despite that they absolutely cannot reach to the Chief Minister to get that particular application signed by the Chief Minister, and that's why they never could able to get such kind of flats. So there is one more thing. 7,000 people till now are waiting to get allotted, and many of them are actually needed such kind of flats. They were the people who were deserving, but despite that, many of the allotments had happened since 1990, but despite that, they have not been given a flat.
Okay, I want to get a quick reaction from our political editor, Javed Ansari, who's also with us. Javed, quick reaction. People like Prithviraj Chavan, Prakash Javadekar, the family of Sanjay Nirupam, how are these people ever going to explain being economically needy?
Absolutely, it's totally surprising, and by no stretch of imagination do they fall in that category. The bigger tragedy here is that this has become a norm now across state governments, not just in Maharashtra. We've exposed what's happening in Maharashtra, but most state governments use this as a tool to extend patronage to their factotums, to their party men, to their relatives, to friends, etc. And the only way out is that this should be transparent. All those who get discretionary quotas, their names and addresses should be put out. There should be a list which should be stuck outside so that it's available to the public, to the media, to try and find out that who are the ones who've got their names on the list.
And that's the whole thing about this story that we're breaking here. It's not wishy-washy, it's not ambiguous. We're taking the names of the politicians who are involved in this monumental impropriety. Houses that are supposed to be for the needy going into people's pockets right there. People like Prakash Javadekar, people like Prithviraj Chavan. We're going to slip into a very short break. We're going to come back and dig even deeper into the story. We'll also get comments from our reporter and bureau chief in Mumbai. You're back on ground zero, where we're exposing a multi-crore housing scam in Mumbai. A shocking story of politicians turning into land sharks, netas grabbing flats meant strictly for the armed army. We spoke to one of the applicants who has been waiting for their flat for many years. Of course, it is now that we know who has been busy grabbing these properties. This is what he said.
So that is at the discretion of Chief Minister ki once the flat has been given to Chief Minister, they can give allot it to economically the poor sections hote hain as per their discretion and at very marginal cost and at no cost. So the duration and all obviously it depends upon the Chief Minister.
तो किया था 1988 में, तो मुझे सैंक्शन हो गया था 1989 में। 89 में मुझे 2 लेटर्स मिले। पहला लेटर मिला कि आपको सैंक्शन हुआ है, ये फर्स्ट लेटर। फिर उसके बाद 3 महीने के बाद दूसरा लेटर आया कि ये फ्लैट आपको 2.5 साल के अंदर मिल जाएगा। भी जिनके सोर्स है उनको आसानी से मिल जाता है। हम लोगों को ये सब प्रोसेस से जाना पड़ता है क्योंकि हम आम आदमी हैं। कल 2-3 बार मैं मंत्रालय भी जाके आई, मंत्रालय में गई, मैंने देखा कि मिलेगा, मुख्यमंत्री के अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए बैठी रही, लेकिन 2 बार के बाद मुझे लगा कि मंत्रालय आने का कोई फायदा नहीं है।
Let's go across to our Mumbai Bureau Chief Sahil Joshi, who's still with us live from Mumbai. Sahil, what we're putting out here right now, the great Mumbai property scam, isn't something that's new to the politicians of Maharashtra. It may be new to all the Mumbaikars who are tuned in right now to Ground Zero, but the politicians have known this all along. We've heard Ashok Chavan, the Chief Minister, talk about the need for a change in policy. But how do you think at all that the Maharashtra establishment will react in any substantial manner to correct these obvious anomalies?
No, it doesn't look like, because this has been happening since 1988, because in 88 this policy was formed. After that there have been at least 7 chief ministers in Maharashtra. In every tenure of any chief minister, be it Sharad Pawar, Manohar Joshi, Narayan Rane, Vilas Rao Deshmukh, Sushil Kumar Shinde, everyone allotted the flats as per their decision. They allotted the flats, and we now know that whom they actually allotted the flats. The basic concern was raised in somewhere in 1995, during 1995, that such kind of flats once taken are sold at the market rate. So the government, the scheme, the 5% scheme is actually not being used properly. Then the government made a decision saying they put a slab on it, saying that once the flat is allotted, you cannot sell the flat for at least 5 years. So people started selling it after 5 years. And then the government said, okay, fine, whoever sells the flat will have to submit a particular amount of money to the government. But the amount of money which was supposed to be given to the government was in such a less amount that people, despite that, made a huge profit out of selling such kind of flats. So basically they have completely gone haywire with this particular scheme, and now as we heard Chief Minister saying that they will have to find out a new solution so that the misuse of this particular scheme should be stopped. But we will keep waiting for that, but I do not think so that anything of this sort is going to happen, because this particular quota is used to please people whom they want to keep close to them.
And it's been completely haywire since 1978, so there's no real promise that anything even remotely constructive will happen now. It's been a gravy train that several different dispensations in Maharashtra have supped on, and there is no real promise that this is going to be the end of this monumental fraud in the state of Maharashtra. Thanks very much for joining us, Mumbai Bureau Chief Sahil Joshi, our correspondent who brought us this story, Kamlesh Sutar, and our political editor, Javed Ansari. Thanks for bringing us your perspective on the story. The repercussions of this breaking story we've just brought to you will be felt immediately. Make no mistake of that. Headlines today's Mumbai Bureau will be keeping a very close watch. Politicians will be furious, and those with their hands dirty will be looking to run and hide. We'll be there to keep track. Thanks for joining us in this edition of Ground Zero. Up next is Headlines Tonight with Zaka Jacob.